Hi guys, this is just a short screencast on how to pass P2 corporate reporting. So have you got the text? I'm sitting with the text here and I'm looking at it going, oh my gosh, this is just mammoth. But don't panic. All you need to do is divide the syllabus up into bite-sized chunks and just take everything one step at a time and you will get through this. So what is this exam all about? Well, it's a 3-hour exam in the same style as the rest of the ACCA exams. It tackles issues such as group accounting and other accountancy issues, some of which you will have dealt with in F7. However, the group issues that you maybe would have seen in F7 are now going to be more complex. So you'll be dealing with things such as D-shaped grips and vertical grips. Now, in the last examiner's report, the examiner said candidates should practice divergent thinking, which is the ability to think of several possible answers to a question before providing the solution. So what the examiner is really wanting here is not to know whether you can do the various calculations or, if you know the syllabus inside out. He is wanting to test your application of the calculations and the knowledge that you have to a scenario that he has specified within this exam. And the only way to be able to do this in the exam is to practice the questions and review the model answers just to see what they're trying to actually pinpoint within this exam. So the first two questions of the exam are compulsory. So the first one is going to be your big one and it deals with consolidation accounting. And then you have a choice after this. So some people are thinking this is a really good thing that you have a choice, because obviously if there's a question that you're not completely comfortable with, you don't then have to do it. However, you are going to need to think about how you're going to choose the questions that you're actually going to answer in the exam, which can add a wee bit of pressure within the exam. So you need to know what tactics you're going to, lay out in order to choose your question. So you have 15 minutes at the reading time, so you might want to use this just to flick to those questions where you get a choice, just to see which ones you might possibly do. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to plan. You know when your exam is going to be and you know how long you have before that exam. So you need to decide how long you're going to take going through each chapter and how long you're going to take doing the practice questions within your revision kit. Once you have this plan established, you need to keep to it. So stick to it no matter what. If you are sitting on a Friday night or a Thursday night saying, I'm going to go through this chapter and the various questions, and somebody asks you to go out, just say no. Stick to what you have been planning to do. Otherwise, you're going to start to fall behind and it's going to add an awful lot of pressure that you definitely do not need whenever you are covering this subject. The last thing that you need to do once you've got this plan and you're sticking to it is keep up your motivation. So you need to ask yourself, what is your motivation for doing this exam? Is it maybe just to, impress somebody who said that you couldn't possibly do these exams? Is it to get a better job so you can earn more money? To maybe buy a speedboat like your man's on here? Whatever it is, always keep, your goal in sight, what you're wanting to get out of doing these exams, just for that, Saturday night or Friday night, whenever, just before the exam, whenever you really could not be bothered doing any more. Just keep this in sight and it will definitely motivate you to continue on what you're doing. So here we have a quote from Albert Einstein: "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." So the reason that I'm saying this here is because whenever you're talking to people and they're saying, I just can't pass this exam, or, whenever I'm doing exams, I'm scraping by and it's worrying me that I perhaps may not scrape by in the next one. When you ask them what they're doing and how they're studying, you would get the same answer quite a lot of the time, and it would be, I'm reading the study textbook, I know it inside out, I must have read it about 4 or 5 times. But this type of learning really is not going to cut it, especially for these professional exams. What you need to do is what you're actually going to be doing on the day in that exam, and that is questions. So you never can do enough questions. You're going to be sick of hearing it if you decide to study with us. Like, we're going to be constantly saying question practice, question practice, question practice. It really is the only way that you're going to really, do well and definitely pass this exam. Not only will you familiarise yourself with the style of questions and what the examiner's actually looking for whenever you review your answers, you'll also then start to pick up tricks, or start to realise that they ask similar things and similar ways in each exam. So just what are my final thoughts? Well, in P2, whenever you're dealing with groups, you get complex groups. So there's going to be D-shaped, vertical groups, there's going to be acquisitions during the year, there's maybe going to be parts of that group that's sold during the year. All these are various, technical areas that you're going to have to deal with within one big question in question one. And a lot of people are put off by consolidations and think, I'm never going to be able to do this, because there's a lot to them and there's a lot to remember. But what you need to know is that you can have your plan of attack there ready for you going into this exam. So there's numerous workings that you can have that you're definitely going to need to calculate, like your goodwill or your non-controlling interest, these various different things. And you can have a plan of how you're going to tackle these. So all you need to do is literally just pick out the numbers and plug them into these various different workings, and that's going to get you some really vital marks for this big question. Another thing you would need to do is just keep an eye on the changes in the technical areas of accounting. This is something they're quite keen on testing in P2. So maybe it's the changes to IFRS 9 or whatever it is. Try and keep up to date with these, and if you take a wee look at your study text, these are going to be outlined at the front of that, so take a quick read through it and always try and keep these in your mind for whenever you're going through the syllabus. So just whenever you are actually looking through the syllabus, you need to use this as your guide. This is going to navigate you through this course, and basically it's what the examiner is going to use to set this exam. So what better tool for you to use to plan your own studies than this syllabus? So try and go through it like a checklist coming up to the exam to ensure you've covered every single point on it, and maybe even think to yourself, okay, this area, where have I seen this in a question? What were the difficulties that I encountered? And then trying to remember how you overcame these difficulties. And if need be, maybe go back and have another wee refresh about what that area is. One thing I felt definitely helped me whenever I was doing this exam was using the technical articles. Quite often they're written by the examiner himself, so they're really going to home in on what he's wanting for particular sections of the syllabus. And it might even be that just this quick 5 or 10 minutes of reading helps to put things into perspective a bit more, or might just make it click. So wherever you study your ACCA P2 module with, I wish you all the best and good luck in all your exams.